It's time for hashtag Writer Wednesday with Crystal. Tips offering advice to aspiring new and seasoned authors about all aspects of the literary world. We are presented by Untamed Publishing. Allow us to help you unlock your unlimited writing potential. If you are an aspiring new or seasoned author, head over to www.untamedpublishing.net for a variety of services to assist you on your publishing journey. On tonight's, I'm sorry, not tonight, on today's episode, I will be talking about building worlds that captivate readers. So I have found four articles that's talking about building worlds. And as I stated before, when I reviewed did the last episode, this was a suggestion from author Coco DeVoe. Okay, so again, like I said, this episode is building worlds that captivate readers. World building stories can transport readers and ignite imaginations, but crafting them is easier said than done. How do you create fresh new worlds that work for both you and your readers? Robots and zombies, aliens and spirits, benevolent deities and terrible demons, brave hobbits and wise wizards. All have been used to mesmerizing effect in brilliant works of world building fiction. Regardless of whether your tastes can run closer to J.R.R. Tolkien, J.K. Rowling, Isaac Asimov, or another direction completely, creating new imagined worlds in your writing can be liberating. It can also be a daunting challenge. After all, if you plan to welcome readers into a new world of your creation, it has to be something that you, as a writer, and they, as an audience, will want to live for at least a short time. So, here are some tips for creating your own successful world building works of fiction. The first one is go to an extreme. I mean, that makes sense. Go to an extreme. It's your world. Create it the way you want to create it because it's your world. Okay, so in 7S, still Neil Stevenson creates a world where the moon explodes and destroys the Earth. Okay, so basically, the list could go on for pages, but the lesson is the same. When you sit down to write your own new world into literary reality, let your imagination go wild and build whatever sort of fantastical world you see fit. Like I stated in the last episode, as a writer, I built my own world and I put my things that are my favorite right now. Now, as I keep on thinking of things and new things are coming, I need to go add more. Like, I love makeup now, so I got to go at a makeup store. Got to think of a cute little name for it. Yes, I could put it in one of the stores I already have. And actually, I think I might just do that. See, talking to you guys helped me out because I do have two stores where I can put a makeup section in it. So I think that's what I'll do. But, like I said, my world is my favorite things right now. And things that I see that will help my world grow, where I can expand it and things like that. The next one is tweak one thing about reality. So, world building does not mean you have to throw everything about your own day to day reality out the window. And dragons, ghosts, and spirit animals are by no means required. Instead of building whole new mythologies, what if you were to create a world that was exactly like the one in which you live, except that one single thing changes? Okay, so Tom Parati's The Leftovers, a story in which millions of people vanish without explanation, is a great example. How does changing a lone aspect of the real world affect the people, places, and events within it? Any such shift could be a great creative spark as you begin crafting your own imagined world. So, like I said, you can just tweak one thing about reality. If you want to create a world of your favorite things, your favorite places, whatever, just tweak one thing that's about reality. And like I said, I Just thinking, I'm not sure what is the one thing that I've tweaked about reality. I feel like, well, I would say where I located it at. So it is located on the borders of North Carolina and South Carolina. And the reason I did that is because living in Atlanta for some time, I got accustomed to not having too much cold weather. Like right now, I'm back in DC and it's snowing. We don't get this much snow. Well, I think I was in Atlanta for maybe like 8 years and maybe got snow one time, but things like that. So I wanted it where I knew I can get snow, but it wouldn't be like a blizzard. I wanted to be able to have it where one of my places, which is a club, it has a rooftop. So be able to sit out on a rooftop in November, in December, October, January. You can do that. Up here, you can't do that. It's too cold. I mean, you're gonna freeze. They're gonna have the heaters on, or they might just say no, you can't do it. But just tweaking certain things about your reality will help you out. Okay, so the next one is keep the characters realistic. So I'm gonna say that again. Keep the characters realistic. So two of my favorite world building works are The Walking Dead, and this is from an article I'm reading because I'm gonna just let you know that I've never watched The Walking Dead or World War Z. So writers Robert Kirkman and Max Brooks do a great job in their respect works of creating vivid and bizarre realities in which the dead rise and dumbly devour. Yet both creators keep their characters strictly, painfully, and transcendently realistic. Figures in both imagined worlds rise to unexpected heights and fall to deplorable deaths, and the reader is with them every step of the way. Once the initial suspension of belief is taken and the alternate worlds where these characters reside is accepted, their actions are poignant, painful, and powerful. In your own world building writing, remember that no matter where they are and what their words are like, people are people, assuming you're assuming you're writing about humans. Building your characters' stories around a core of realistic and relatable behavior will make your imagined world that much more captivating. So, like I said, you can keep the characters realistic. I mean, to me, that I think that's common sense. Granted, if you are writing about werewolves and, like I said, zombies, spirits, that's I would say it can be realistic because you can make it realistic because this is your writing. And then, like you said, I feel like sometimes when I'm just reading a regular book that don't have zombies and spirits and werewolves, some of the characters I don't feel are realistic. It's like certain things they say and do is just like, oh, come on now. My friend just told me because, as I'm writing, I feel like I want to write about certain things. And she was like, yeah, if I was to read such a mushy, soft book about you, I'm like, yeah, that's not my girl. Like, I know you. So that's what I mean by just making sure your characters are realistic. Granted, like I said, this is your writing, this is them talking, and they're going to talk to you and they're going to tell you their story. But if a person really knows you, they're gonna really think us those characters really talking to you like that. So just make sure you keep the characters realistic. Now, before I complete this, I'm gonna take a break and we'll be right back. All righty. And we are back. And I'm talking about building worlds that captivate readers. So far, I talked about go to an extreme when you're building your world, tweak one thing about reality, and keep the characters realistic. Next, focus on the details. Okay, so Tonists believe in the sacred nature of sound, and all of their lore and core beliefs are a ruling theme. In one masterful throwaway moment, Schusterman describes how a Tonist character's robe is decorated with a geometric pattern that is actually visualized audio information representing the song Bridge Over Troubled Water. This may seem like a small detail, But attention to microscopic facets like this can make an imagined world seem truly vividly real. Keep in mind that every single aspect of your imagined world need not be crafted with such thoughtful design. But the more you can strategically and artistically throw in such content and ways that elevate the overall story, the more real and engrossing your world will feel to readers. I feel as a writer, if it doesn't feel real to you, it's not going to feel real to your audience. So definitely focus on the details. And if you have to remember the details, you definitely want to have to do that. Um, like I said, one of my cities, Crystal Falls, I have a winery and a bed and breakfast. So the city is kind of for like the affluent people, people who make more money. So the Lux is a family. And so they have a winery. They have a bed and breakfast. That bed and breakfast is on that winery. So it's just like I said, making sure I'm giving you the small details, explaining it, and making sure that it makes sense. Granted, that can change. Like I said, I want to add a restaurant to this winery. So where would I put it? Things like that. So you want to focus on the details. The next thing is stay consistent. Few things can turn a reader off faster than an imaginary world that doesn't make sense or refuses to play by its own rules. After all, readers give authors the benefit of the doubt when they suspend disbelief and allow themselves to live within an imaginary world. Making those imagined worlds internally consistent is a responsibility authors owe them in return. Though it's not a story in book form, Pacific Rim offers a single prime example of what not to do when world building. If you're not familiar, Pacific Rim is a big, noisy, largely entertaining movie about giant robots saving humanity by battling monsters from under the sea. Does that even make sense? A robot, I'm guessing if they get wet, they should be no good, right? Okay, so let's just see what this says. So the film does a great job of creating an imaginary world in which these improbable events seem perfectly reasonable until that single moment when it doesn't anymore. Okay, so the scene that I'm going to talk about that's in the article, two protagonists battle a tough monster, and one suggests that they deploy a powerful weapon that helps them butcher their opponent with ease. This is all well and good, but where was that weapon during every single previous battle in which heroes were almost destroyed? Clearly, the protagonists are not stupid to the point of forgetting its existence, and no explanation is given as to why that weapon may have been previously unavailable. It's simply a moment of internal inconsistency that takes the audience out of the story in an abrupt and unpleasant way. In your own world building stories, don't have sun allergic vampires suddenly walk on the beach midday with no consequences or explanation. That doesn't make sense. Similarly, if your main character possesses the power to levitate, don't have her freak out because she's fallen into a hole and doesn't know how to escape. Logical consistency within your imagined world, no matter how fantastical it may be, will help you keep your readers coming along for your entire storytelling journey. So stay consistent, please. That's all I'm saying. That's all this article is saying. And last but not least, don't rush the process. Don't expect yourself to sit down, start writing, and suddenly create something as rich and detailed as Hogwarts, Middle Earth, or Westeros. Let me tell you, I didn't see the other two, but Westeros, I want to live there. Like I was at work one day and we had a meeting and it's just like an icebreaker. What century would you like to live in? So I said back in the what is his name? The big famous king, terrible Henry VIII at that time. So and basically, yes, I know there's no running water, there's no lights, you gotta use a candle. But I just think it's fascinating just to know history. Like I love history. Like love, love, love history. Anything that's kind of telling us how we started to where we are now, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna watch. Okay. So world building takes time. That is so true. I started world building before I started writing. And I take that back. I started writing. Then I was like, hmm, I did write where I was living at one point in time in my stories. And I was like, dang, I mean, I got to remember all this stuff, places I went and things like that. And if I mess up, reader can call me out. So I was like, you know what? Forget that. And let me create my own world. Okay. So it definitely does take time, revision, and reflection. So give yourself space to explore and discover your new world in the same way your readers will when it's their turn to experience it. How do you approach world building in your own writing? Share your thoughts and let me know. So, this was definitely great. It gave me some things and made me go back and think, oh, I want to add this. So now I know what to do. Like I stated earlier, I'm into makeup now. So, instead of building a whole makeup store and coming up with a name, now I know it's two places in my um, world that I can have makeup. And actually, instead of just doing one, because what it says, go to the extreme, it can be in both places. I love it. Okay, so thank you for listening as always. And please check me out on Instagram at Books and Soul One. And on Facebook, I have a Facebook page and it's Books and Soul. Please be sure to follow the Get Caught Up podcast on Instagram and Get Caught Up podcast and on Twitter at GCU underscore score podcast. We're on TikTok at Get Caught Up podcast, author podcast. And we also have a Facebook page to Get Caught Up podcast. If you would like to become a sponsor, please visit anchor.fm/get caught up. Or if you like to give us a donation, you can send us a cash app at $ capital U, capital P 2016. Join us next Wednesday when we will be interviewing none other than Miss Author A.A. Lewis. I'm excited about that. And we're going to talk about her book, The Dom. And I forgot the other book name, but it's in that series with the Dom. And then join us live January the 31st, where myself and Miss Lisa from Tales Between the Sheets and Mrs. Roney, oh my gosh, when we will be discussing The View 1 and 2, written by author Untamed. Man, that show probably is going to be wild because I read The View and I was shooketh. I'm finishing up The View 2 and I'm shooketh some more. And I can't wait to see how she's going to end this series because this series is stressing me out. I have never been this stressed out about a book. So we're going to get to talk to her about it, discuss it, and then maybe pick her brain and see what she's going to do with The View 3. Okay? So thank you for joining as always. Bye for now.